Welcome to another Triathlon podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is another Triathlon podcast. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome to another Triathlon podcast brought to you by Mana Apparel. This is a podcast where we have a little bit of fun talking all things triathlon. We don't take any of it too seriously and chat about our own experiences in the age group field as well as what the pros are getting up to these days. And there is a ton of racing. We have got so many races to recap and what the implications of those races are, because it's been an action-packed weekend. But let's jump into it, check out the crew, see what's going on in their world. Betty, what have you been up to? Missed you last week.
Hey guys, yeah, I missed you. No, just been following along your travels and Josh's, VIP access and everything and his race. So no, just being a fly on the wall, following you guys, and super excited to talk about what you went through over the weekend. And training's been going well. Today I did my first track workout in a while, which went really well. Other than the fact that my calves are killing me right now, but yeah, the track never lies. It's like riding your TT bike on a time trial. It puts you on the spot that you are physically. So eager to keep grinding and training. What about you guys?
Yeah, definitely.
I've been excited watching you. Been excited watching you get back at it, Fed, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to see, and I know how excited you are. And then to see in the group chat your name on the start list, and
yeah,
it's real. So it's cool to see you getting ready for a big race, and you're going to be ready to go when it comes time for Worlds.
Yeah, that's the plan, and like we talked about, it may be like a blessing in disguise. The injury and everything. Now that I'm going to be able to be fresh to build towards 70.3 Worlds. So yeah, excited. Still have a couple of months for that. So yeah, things are looking good, I guess.
That's so good to hear. We love to see you coming back there, and it'll be great to see. It looks like there's going to be a big monogroup. Do you want to tell everyone what your next race is coming up?
Yeah, it's going to be a big group. I'm racing 70.3 Santa Cruz with a lot of Mona teammates. Chad, Phil, just to name a few, a couple from the California area. It's going to be exciting, and there's going to be a lot of us racing. So I'm super excited for that, and looking forward to share the start line with those guys, and share how the race went afterwards.
Absolutely. Well, we had another exciting weekend here. Josh, you got up to a race and a bit of spectating. How'd your weekend go?
It was a crazy weekend. I mean, we started the week off kind of with our interview with Michael Dulst and talking about SuperTri, and then the rest of my weekend was SuperTri and triathlon and Olympic tries and Olympians. It was just unbelievable for that to all be taking place in Boston with SuperTri. It just brought a whole cool atmosphere to the city that we're not used to really in this area. Things are here about pro sports on the big levels of the Celtics and the Bruins. And when you get Olympians in town like 10 days after the Olympics, it's just a really cool treat. So on Saturday morning, I co-hosted a shakeout run with Human Powered Health, and Nick Lamb from Mana joined me, and Parker Spencer from the Project Podium and Stars and Stripes SuperTri team brought a bunch of his athletes, including Seth Ryder, Vasco, Katie Zafaris was there, Katia was there, And then a bunch of the executives from the SuperTri team and their film crew were there. And it was just, it was really neat. One of the co-owners of Wahoo was there. It was just really, really neat. And it all came together within like a 2-week time span. So
that's awesome.
I led Olympians on a run around the Charles River in Boston. And I knew they probably had a little bit of a workout to do too. So I didn't know how well I'd be able to hold my own and if I was going too slow. But I guess an 8-minute pace was about right that day. And then a couple of them did some strides and stuff along the river, and just really, really cool. And then we hung out at Human Powered Health and checked out the technology and the space. And they have this really nice roof deck that we had some drinks and food at. And they were off and headed off to their obligations at the kids race for Boston Triathlon. So Gwen did that, and then they had their pro meeting. So just a really cool day Saturday. I went down to the beach afterwards and did a recon swim of the course. So I got like the inside of the course. It was a out and back or in a round, kind of like a triangle or square type shape. And so I did a swim recon, which was neat. First time I'd ever been able to do that at an actual course. And then I did a quick bike recon, which ended up coming in very handy on the day of the race. And chatted with a bunch of people that were in town, and then early rising Sunday morning for my race, my first ever Olympic distance race. And never felt as good as I did that day, getting ready to start a race, just comfortable, ready to go. It's not my A race, so I was like, let's just go have fun. Front line of the start corral on the wave, and took off and felt really good. And then all of a sudden people just started swimming over the top of me, and they didn't know which way they were going. And I was trying to sight and go straight as possible. And I just kind of had to take a moment and pull up and backstroke a little bit and catch myself and let some people get out of the way and find my own little lane. And once I did that, I negative split the swim, which was really cool to see the stats on, and still right around my goal time, a little above, but right around that. And then I got into transition, and I knew I was going to have my best bike ever as long as I stayed upright. And it again started to rain. So if you don't want rain, don't come race with me, apparently, because that's been my 2024 season is racing in rain. But obviously I've been practicing in it. So felt good. It was a flat course. I think the elevation total was like 90 feet or something like that. And yes. Watts to power, watts and speed. And by far my best power output, best speed output. And I got off the bike and I was like, I could have done another 50 miles. So that felt really cool. Third best bike split in my age group, and felt great on the run. Had the 5th fastest run, which again, for me, I used to be like the 20th or 30th in the age group. And now I'm top 5 run split and had a great day. Finished, I think, 8th or 9th in my age group. The timing was all messed up. But man, I'll tell you, SuperTri brought the talent to the age group race for sure, because that time I put up would have been 3rd last year. And that was kind of how I based my goals. So 3rd last year was only good enough for 9th this year, and everyone showed up, and there was some crazy fast times in my age group. But I was totally stoked with it. Nick Lamb was waiting at the finish line when I got in, so it was really cool to do that. My wife was along the course, and it was like, because of all the loops, she was able to see me a bunch of times, and just really neat to see all the different people out there run and race with and bike with some really fast people. And then it was from the award ceremony right over to SuperTri, and I had all access pass and could go into any area I wanted to, but really felt like, and Jenna mentioned this before we jumped on, like just taking the whole thing in for the first time is super cool enough. Cool. And I was literally 3 feet away from Hayden Wild's bike rack, or any bike rack I wanted to be next to. And then when they go running off the beach and like you're right there, it's just a really, really neat experience. If you ever get a chance to go to a SuperTri event, highly recommend it. Definitely catch it online and watch on supertri.com if you can't make it to one of these, because the FOMO is real. Jenna's already said she's going to try and find a way to get to Chicago for the next race.
Officially going to Chicago Yeah, after watching all your videos and stuff, it just reminded me how good these races are. I went to the one in Singapore, one in Mallorca, and yeah, I have to go back. And it's such an awesome team that puts it on together too, so that makes it a lot more fun. But yeah, after watching all of that, I decided I had to go back to the next one. They're in North America, so check this out again. We had too much fun for me to not go to the next one.
Now the question is, are you going to hop into the Chicago Triathlon?
No. More on why I'm not running at the moment later.
Oh boy. Yeah, so it was just, and then the whole thing was like, it was done by like 3:30. I mean, I was like, I'd been up, I think I got up at 4 o'clock, something like that.
A packed day.
So it'd been a long day. Which is why I didn't do a lot of the interviewing, and the ladies from Vice Triathlon were there and they were doing some interviews, and even they were taking the whole thing in. And it was a really cool community. There was a whole bunch of people from Barlow that were there. Mike Bunton from Rudy and Synergy was there, and just the same people that you get to see at all these big races, and really just that community event that we talk about all the time. And the people from SuperTri are just amazing. They kept coming up and asking me like what I thought and how was it and how was the experience? Is there anything that they could do different? And just really need to have that access and to have them come to me and make sure everything was going all right. And I've been in communication with them since, making some connections for them in Chicago. So they're already talking to one of our teammates, Hope, to pick her brain on maybe some people that they need to meet while they're there in Chicago. So we'll add Jenna to the list in those communications. And I, like, in the middle of the race, I'm like, hey, Macca, Jenna says hi. He's like, yep, isn't it? So it's just that kind of level of fun. And even like without the VIP access, the fans on the other side of the chute are right there at the finish line. And you're right there on the course itself, because it's only the 1 mile loop, like we talked to Michael last week. So really, really awesome weekend. It was one of those things that just kind of further entrenched my love for the sport.
Yeah, they do a good job on site too, kind of keeping you up to date. You'll hear the commentators on the feed, but they actually have commentators on site to the big screen. So you usually get a pretty good idea of what's going on in the race. Unlike some other events where you have to have your phone playing at the same time to have any clue what's going on, they make sure it's a whole experience out there on the race course.
Yeah, the commentators are unbelievable, going all day long, doing interviews, interviewing the managers, making fun of the race director and whether or not he's going to pull out his red flag on Kitty's.
Oh, Tomo.
And by the way, the yellow flag is a red flag this year.
So funny. Tomo's
really
like this
cool,
big, intimidating figure, and he's got that elimination flag, and he just goes up to ask. But he's like the sweetest, gentlest guy in person. So it's so funny to see him race day. He's just like stone-faced, you're eliminated.
And you'll catch a little smirk from him every once in a while, too, because he knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Well, Jenna,
sounds like it was an epic weekend.
You've changed. It was. And I can tell you've changed locations in Australia. Is that like the Opera House in the background?
It is. Yeah. But you know what? I got a room with a good view. I'm over here in Sydney now. So I thought I have to tease the boys a little bit with Sydney Opera House and the harbor in the background here. It is stunning. Got in last night. And yeah, happy to finally be in Sydney. I was coaching for Macca and the team at Macca X for years, and I've heard about all these training locations and stuff and all these key places I have to go to. So definitely going to try to do some touring around, while I'm here for like 48 hours. But yeah, it had a bit of a weekend. It was fun to have my first trip to Australia. Other than arriving to Australia, pretty much nothing else went to plan this weekend. It was definitely an adventure for sure. So, if you guys didn't follow along, I was down here it was supposed to be the Standard Duathlon World Championship. So World Triathlon is putting on their triathlon festival, and it's like 12 plus races over like 10 days or something. And it's just every format of triathlon except for, I think, Sprint and Olympic, they're doing separately at another World Championship. So you got cross, you got duathlon, you got the long distance tri, you got all sorts of fun stuff, aqua bike, aquathon. So yeah, this whole year was kind of a switch up, going from Ironman, my favorite distance, to trying something just short and fast with duathlon. And I spent a lot of time getting my TT bike all dialed in using that Ghibli aero sensor to make sure I'm super aerodynamic, because duathlon is definitely a runner's game. It's runners that can ride a bike, where triathlon, it's definitely a little bit more balanced and the bike comes into play more. So my shot at this race was to have a wicked fast bike split to try to overcome some of that deficit to the runners. So I show up in Townsville, and actually first I show up in Sydney, and I find out my bike is still in Canada. I'm like, oh, okay, that sucks. But I came in on Monday. I came early just in case something like this happens. So try not to stress. Same thing happened in Thailand last year. The bike will show up on the next flight, they tell me. Next day, no bike. Yeah, we're not really sure where it is right now. And my AirTag that's in there is not connecting to anything. It still shows back at home. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. And so as the week went on, got to Wednesday, still no bike. Still, they don't know where it is, so they can't give me an ETA of when it's showing up. And honestly, that was starting to play with my head a bit. So the race was on Sunday, but I had to check my bike in overnight on Saturday. And I was kind of thinking it would suck to come all this way to just not race at all. So I had also qualified and signed up for the Sprint Duathlon World Championships. I wasn't planning on racing it because it's draft legal, so I would have had to bring a road bike too, and I've never raced a draft legal sprint duathlon. So like, okay, I'll focus on the standard in there. But when it was getting down to no bike, no idea when it'll show up, I figured it might be easier to find a road bike to borrow than it is to try to find a TT bike in a small town in Australia. Everywhere was sold out of bike rentals. Like, there was not a chance of finding a bike rental in this little town. Bike shops had like shipped in a bunch of bikes, but they're all gone. So I put it out on social media and kind of crossed my fingers a bit. And man, it was incredible from this triathlon community. Just the response, the support. I was overwhelmed with how many people were just willing to help, like reaching out to teammates, reaching out to people they knew traveling over, just putting it out everywhere. I am so grateful. And it was just really cool to see that. And I had some offers of one person who was racing a few days later, and she's like, no, you can have my bike. I'm like, well, it's draft legal, so I can't have anything with TT bars and stuff. She's like, no, take off the extensions, adjust it how you need and stuff. I'm like, you're racing in a few days and you're gonna let me like screw with your bike setup, take off your TT bars. Like, it was so generous. But then luckily found another person who wasn't racing, just kind of lived in and around Townsville, and they offered to let me use their bike. And I felt better about that because I would feel so bad missing with someone's race setup. But it was just incredible. It was someone saw my social media posts, messaged all their teammates, and someone saw it and said, yeah, I'll hand this perfect stranger my bike and come deliver it to their hotel room. And then she ended up bringing me a helmet and bike pump and everything. I was just, oh my goodness, I was overwhelmed with the support and the generosity of so many people. Because, you know, most of these people, I'm a person on social media. They don't know me. I'm really a stranger. So that so many people are willing to help with something pretty incredible. And it helped a ton too, because if I were sitting in my hotel room for 5-6 days just crossing my fingers that my bike would show up, I would have been a hot mess, just stressing out, waiting. So getting that road bike and knowing at least I can race something, it turned from really trying to win another world championships to let's just go have an adventure and have some fun with it. I've never done a draft legal sprint duathlon. May as well do the first one halfway around the world on a borrowed bike with a couple days notice. So ended up, checking in for the sprint duathlon and had some fun out there. It was definitely a totally different format. Draft legal is crazy. I've done some bike racing, so I can ride in a pack and stuff. But with the draft legal, it's so crazy because you got the run first. The fast runners go off. Unfortunately, that blunts my bike ability a little bit because I could see them on the out and backs taking turns in a little echelon kind of thing. Just went hard on that bike and then ran off it. And I got to admit, there was a little bit in the back of my head saying, okay, go hard. But what if your bike shows up kind of thing? And that was not the right mindset, but had a blast. Ended up fourth, which is, the tough one. It's so close. So did that, had a blast with that. my bike ends up showing up 3 hours before bike check-in closes on Saturday. It's been missing for 5 days at this point. And I just get a call from a random number on my phone. Hey, we're downstairs with some luggage for you. I'm like, wait, what? So put the bike together, did a quick spin, and got wrapped up for Sunday for the standard duathlon, the one I was actually chasing out there. And you know what? I'm just kind of hoping, hey, maybe the legs just needed the tune-up of the sprint after not riding for a week, and there'll be good race day. That was not the case. I'm not 25 anymore, so apparently I can't go full gas 48 hours apart, race to race, and still have good legs. So went out there, got started. Legs were kind of tight and heavy and started to tighten up. And then unfortunately that hip issue that I got going full gas at a B race a month ago, that caused me to stop running for a while. It flared up. So it was just a case of kind of, you know what, let's enjoy the rest of the race here. It's really kind of the end of my race season, and I'm somewhere very, very cool, and just make it to the finish line without doing too much damage. So it's been, I don't know if I've ever done a race where it wasn't like full gas to the finish. It was a totally different experience, just checking out the scenery, enjoying it a little bit more, and just kind of cruising along. But while it wasn't the result I wanted, it was just so cool to see just this amazing triathlon community, them coming to my rescue, so much support, so many cheers along the way. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for that. And it turned into a fun adventure that, you know, doing 2 world champs within 48 hours on the other side of the world, can't complain too much.
Yeah, it's hard to complain when A, you're in Australia for the first time, and B, you're still competing and getting out there and racing. And yeah, you got a little niggle, and you'll get that taken care of. But I mean, 4th place in a sprint duathlon, I mean, like, that's crazy with the speed. And yeah, I mean, kudos to you for going through what you went through and still towing the line and getting it.
Yeah, it was fun to do something just different, right? It was the first time I felt like a newbie in a very long time, and that's kind of a fun feeling after having done this for so long.
Yeah, and especially the mental aspect of how you handle the bike situation and everything. I think that speaks greatly about yourself and your adaptability, because sometimes we plan for everything and then, you know, life throws curveballs at us. And this case was not having your bike with you, and you handled it very well and executed like a very, very solid race. So that's also something to be proud of. And yeah, super happy for you for that.
Well, thank you guys. I sure appreciate that. It was, yeah, kind of a crazy turn of events, but next year, going back to Ironman, the distance and a level of intensity that I like a lot more. But this was a fun departure to try something a little bit different there. A little less VO2, a little bit more. I miss my 6-hour bike rides. That's something I never thought I'd hear myself say, but I miss long bike rides. Yeah. Well, there was also some people racing that were going slightly faster than me, even in Ironman distances, faster than what I was doing at sprint distance. But we had a few races going on this weekend. How about we kick it off? We'll get the Ironman stuff out of the way first. I'm sure we're going to want to dive in even deeper to SuperTri. But Fede, what happened at Ironman Frankfurt? This, I don't think any of us called this.
Yeah, it was a very good race to watch. I mean, I stayed up late and then woke up early to watch the finish line. But it was an incredible race. We had a lot of people coming for this race: Patrick Lange, Sam Long, Mr. KB, Kristian Blummenfelt, Christian Hagenhaug. Just a lot of people coming into race, and a lot of them were looking to, you know, get those last Kona slots. A lot of them were there to toe the line with good athletes like Braden Curry, who's already qualified, but he loves to race, and he thrives in championship environments, so he was there as well. And a very, very cool race to watch. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we saw Kristian finishing, not winning the gold medal at the Olympics, which was his goal for this year. But then he goes to Ironman Frankfurt, and just he said he hadn't ridden his TT bike in a while. He rode it like for a week and a half, and all of a sudden he got a course record and took the win. Kristian took the win in 7:27, ran a 2:30, 2:29 with a porta potty stop, vomiting himself on the run. Just incredible, and on the glamorous lives of triathletes. And on second place, we had from the Great Britain, Kieran Lindors, who might seem like a surprise for a lot of people, but this guy has been chipping away and slowly but surely climbing himself up to the top. On third place from Italy, we had Gregory Barnaby, and in fourth place, Christian Hagenhaug. And it was a very, very interesting race. We saw Patrick Lange taking the race by the horns and doing a lot of work on the bike. He was on a mission. He wanted to bridge the gap on the front group, but it wasn't enough. I mean, he was like 8-9 minutes behind, and with the horsepower that the front guys were pushing, it was a very, very tough ask for Patrick to come with the win. And he has a bit of a love-hate relationship with Frankfurt and this Ironman Frankfurt course. He has never won there, so he's always 2, 3, 4, 5, but has never taken the top step of the podium for one reason or the other. But it was good. I was very pleased to see Patrick fighting till the end, and just shows the type of character that he is. A lot of guys didn't have the race that they wanted, like Braden, for example. But just talk about Kristian Blummenfelt. To me, he looked like he was on cruise control, but then you see him vomiting himself all over on the run, and then going to the porta potty. And I was just talking to a friend over the weekend, and I believe he has the ability to go to a dark place much easier than the average athlete, and to stay there for a long period of time, because that 2:30 7 marathon must have been super painful after the Olympics, and been training for a short course for months. So yeah, kudos to Kristian, and what an amazing venue. The Germans always put up a very, very nice show, and hopefully he can deliver at Kona. It's going to be interesting because right now I see a sole favorite for Kona, and that is Magnus. But Kristian and potentially Gustav might turn up the notch a little bit come October. But what did you guys thought about this race?
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. Kristian Blummenfelt all going in. Yeah, I'm just gonna cruise around. Just need to validate that Kona spot to get out there race day, and then just destroys everyone. I am impressed by the puking on the run move. That is something I have not seen before, and it just doesn't seem to faze him. That's the craziest part. He's just like, okay, that happened. Keep moving along, and it's over to a 2:32. That was absolutely insane, and it really. You know what, I'm so curious to see what he does in Kona. This is not after specific work, hasn't been on a TT bike. That is a very scary proposition for the other male pros going into that. But what I also found interesting was just how the names we were expecting, no one seemed to have a good day. Like, it was really, you look at Patrick Lange in 8th, you look, Sam Long went over there and he ended up in, I think, 22nd. I'm curious to see what it was about that course and that day, whether it's the fatigue over the season or people just had off days, but that was not what I expected at all. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't what most people in the triathlon community expected. Any podcast you listen to, any article you read, nobody picked that top 10 for sure, and especially not in that order. We all thought there was a chance that the Kona slots could drop to the 20s, low 20s, potentially with the amount of people that had already had theirs racing. It went to 9, and there were 6 of them.
Insane.
I mean, that's a regular race.
Yeah, so many names that you would expect.
Really crazy how that all played out.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was just crazy. And then what do you guys think on Sam Long? So it seems like, he started off the season with an absolute bang, and that's common for him. He kind of comes in firing on all cylinders at the beginning of the year, right or wrong. And then he went through the T100 series, had a couple good results, and then had a couple off days there. To me, it kind of seemed like he saw that he wasn't having those winning results, so may as well kind of turn the season around, trying to have a good Ironman or get to Kona or have that as a backup plan. That's what it looked like from the outside. I don't know. What do you guys think? Why did he end up deciding to do this race?
I think Sam can't help himself, and he just wants to race the best guys out there, and he just wanted to see if with the fitness that he had, he could have got a solid race. I think that's just pure emotion and wanting to toe the line with the best guys, and he took the chance. And it was a gamble, a long shot, but kudos for going out there and trying to perform with those guys, knowing that you've been training for the T100 and 70.3s. Because it's like you mentioned, Jenna, Ironman is a different beast. It's not VO2 type of work. I mean, nowadays 70.3s and the T100 training looks a lot more like the ITU or short course WTCS. The WTCS short course type of training. With the exception of on the bike, but it's very much VO2 demanding and very upper threshold dependent. And when you're trying to switch systems, only if your name is Kristian Blummenfelt, you can do that overnight. But I guess we saw that happen to Sam over the weekend. What do you think, Josh?
I mean, the crazy part is too, though, like we talk about Sam finishing in 22nd and not getting the Kona slot and it being a bad race. And then you start to look a little deeper and it's like, this was, I believe, either his PR at the Ironman distance or one of his like top 2 or 3 times ever. So he's done a lot of Ironman racing with Ironman training and done well. And yet this was one of his top performances ever. It was just, that's how fast these people have gotten and how everyone else has gotten, especially when they have a block for Ironman training. Now, Kristian aside, everyone else trained for this race for the most part. You can put like Trevor Foley and Sam, like, well, now you start talking, wow, those guys need coaches now because they need to stop racing so much. And someone needs to tell them that, because the couple of guys that don't have coaches are the ones that totally had bad days in terms of what they went there for. I mean, Trevor DNF. I mean, he pulled up at 85 miles into the bike and kind of rolled it in, but he's taking a full week off, so I think maybe that'll help him. But yeah, I think Sam's ready to go after Kona in a world championship at the Ironman distance, but it has to be his sole focus, and he's not there
yet. Definitely. And little caveat on that one. I'm hearing that bike course was short by a fair bit in there, so a lot of people are getting some PR bike times over there for sure. But yeah, you make a good point with the coaches. Like, we see some top performances, and I think that's one of those cases where you need a coach just to almost slow you down at times too. We see it with a lot of these top athletes that don't. They kind of race hard and get right back into it right afterwards, and we see these injuries pop up or fatigue pop up. I know my own coach, a lot of his job is just telling me to chill, not do as much as I want to. And so I'd be curious to see if it go any different. But yeah, Sam seems to say, hey, I've only got so long in this sport, so I'm going to do it the way I know it works and go from there. And you know what? It's definitely worked for him in a lot of regards.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about Kristian Hogenhag's bike in the social media post of the week in a little bit. But my God, the bike numbers were crazy, and what Kristian did without the training. Just here's the question: does Kristian change his training that much for Kona? Like, how much better can you get than what he showed up at? So, like, do they go to altitude and just keep doing what they're doing and do it on a TT bike, and that's the only change?
I'd almost question how much did his training change to go to the Olympic distance more so than the Ironman distance. It seemed like they're still putting in crazy volume. And then the last little bit was kind of pulling up with some intensity there. So he seems like again, we're always looking from the outside, that they're pretty steady, high volume. So something like an Ironman is probably training day for him, but that was just crazy. So impressive. And yeah, he's going to shake up Kona incredibly well if he recovers from this and gets ready to fire again. And we know he knows how to race in Kona. Well, we had some other races going on this weekend. The one that Josh got to see up close and in person with SuperTri. First off, very impressive with the commentators, not saying Super League throughout it. They did not mess up once, which was seriously impressive after like 6 years of calling it one thing and actually getting on board with the rebrand. But yeah, Fede, why don't you tell us what went down at SuperTri in Boston?
Yeah, no, I was actually thinking about this, and I think Josh, because he was there physically, I think I'm going to pass it on to him so he can give us the details and what the triathletes smell like on transition, because he was right there.
Who's the best smelling triathlete?
I was pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was. I think that salt water and the breeze off the ocean just kind of took over whatever the true athlete smell was. But yeah, the Boston water and it stopped raining for the women's race in between my race and theirs, and it stopped raining. So they had a pretty dry course, which at those speeds and on those corners and all the turns that they got to do and the technicality of it on the bike and even the run. Leaving transition, the hairpin turns are unbelievable, and how quick they take them and like shoulder to the railings. But wow, yeah, they all started on the beach with a beach run into the water and a quick swim, and our standard lead pack swimmers were there getting out of the water and off to get that first short shoot pass, and I guess the race kind of played out as expected in the female race. We started to see maybe some athletes who had gotten ill or had a little bit of the post-Olympic fatigue play into it. Like Cassandra, we found out she'd been wearing a boot post-Olympics, so her foot kind of flared up, so she dropped a little bit. Katie Zafaris had been sick, and her training hadn't been as what she had hoped for, and she was the first one to get that red elimination flag, unfortunately. But man, she stuck around and cheered for every athlete as they came through transition, not just Stars and Stripes, every athlete. And that was really cool to see. And then they were off. I mean, the first transition onto the bike and how quick, they're off, and the goggles into the suits for some of them. Some of them put their goggles into the transition bins. Don't miss the bin, because then you'll get a penalty, as we'll find out from Dorian Connex later. But it's fast. It is super, super fast, coming through transition a bunch of times, and the lead pack kind of broke away. And you can see a lot of the first swim, bike, run. Again, we talked about this last week with Michael Deuce. Swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. And you had a lot of athletes doing this for the first time and never done SuperTri before, or so amped up that they kind of redlined it in that first leg of the triathlon, and then they have to go into the water again. After, let's see, probably a good 100, 150 meter run from transition down to the beach, into the water, and swim again. So you could see on that second triathlon how different the packs changed, and the race really started to form. And those who paced themselves correctly started to show up. And I thought we had a chance with Taylor Spivey. She took the lead onto the run on the final leg of the third lap. And man, she had a heck of a swim after the second triathlon and kicked it off, came out, and had a great bike. She worked hard on the bike, but the short shoots came into play, and Jeanne Lehair had the short shoot on the run, and she took off to the front and wasn't to be seen again. And Georgia Taylor Brown, Kate Waugh, second and third, but Jeanne Lehair won again. I think she won the first leg of last year's season too. So she's off and running, and what a cool finish, and how awesome they all are to get to the finish line. Completely red line tax. I mean, that's the one thing about being up close is you can see how hard they're breathing and how hard they're working. It's like you still have 2 more triathlons to go. And it was a heck of a race. Great commentating, great in action interviews, talking to the fans, interviewing the fans, but being right there in the VIP area, being able to walk to the beach and see that whole aspect of it, and then watch how quick these transitions are. I mean, it is literally F1 of triathlon for sure. And kudos to Jeanne Lehair, Georgia Taylor Brown, and Kate Waugh for grabbing the points for their teams, and Taylor with a heck of an effort, because Stars and Stripes had a tough start with Katie getting eliminated right off the bat.
Yeah, and I feel for Taylor Spivey. She's like perpetually fourth. It's happened at so many of these races. Oh, I feel for her there. It just got a few athletes who kind of seem to have their spots in races. But yeah, she had some gutsy racing out there. She's always fun to watch in SuperTri. And like I was saying before, just one of the nicest people. It was shocking to see Katie Zafir's out. That you mentioned that she had been sick. Makes more sense because she was the queen of SuperTri for years, just absolutely decimating people, and especially at this format. She was so good at just waiting and getting stronger as the races went on, getting that. She just has that endurance and that grittiness. So it was kind of a bummer to see her be out, but hopefully she'll use some of that and come back in the next series there. But one controversial pick we had here, we had team manager Macca giving his short shoot to Cassandra Bogran, who is kind of in the back there, probably hoping to get her on the podium. But you got to wonder what the race would have looked like if he had given it to GTB instead.
So a little insider information, because this is what you do get to see when you're 2 feet away from this action. When he gave that to her and told her that she was getting it as she came out into transition, she was done. Like, she was like, no, I didn't even think she was going to continue. Like, she was hurt.
Oh, no.
And she was going from the bike to the run, and he tells her this, and she's like, ah. And it was one of those moments where you're like, man, is the athlete over pushing themselves because now she has the short shoot and knows it. But yeah, she certainly was not in top form when she found out, and kudos to her for pushing all the way up to where she got. So, I mean, even when she finished, you could see her starting to grab onto the foot, and she's talked about it afterwards too. So yeah. I hope she's ready to go for Chicago. It sounds like she will be, but yeah, it was definitely a interesting decision because he had 2 girls up top that could have used it for sure.
Yeah, and like Mac and MG kind of have a history of that, and even Tim too when he was team manager, where they kind of risk it on someone who's a little farther back to try to get more points on the final placings in the end there. And you know, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't, like today, but it definitely keeps the racing interesting. I'm glad they kept in the short shoots too. I know people love or hate them, like Dulce was talking about, but they definitely mix it up. And let's move on to the men's race, where you definitely have to think it had an effect with the short shoot there. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what happened in the men's race?
Yeah, for sure. So, and one of the things I think the men also learned, and it sounds like Podium Racing kind of had the strategy that worked best to start the race on the swim. They took a different tactic based on the current and the tides. And okay. I'll tell you firsthand, there was a ton of current and tides. They had more of a high tide. We were at more of a low tide, but you could tell the currents were playing effect. So they actually went outside and let the currents naturally pull them in to where they needed to be and didn't have to fight it. So that's why Podium got the lead right out of the water in the women's race. So I think that kind of trickled down to some of the other managers for the men's race, and the guys kind of saw that and figured it out. But man, the women's race was super fast. But even the ladies were like changing and getting back out to watch these guys race because it is insane how fast they're going. And we had our normal leaders right out of the water. I was Matt Hauser. I mean, unbelievable. He's huge, by the way. That is a big boy. And
he's surprisingly,
like, if he wanted to go swim only, he would. But yeah, Matt Hauser had a great day. For sure. For sure. And I mean, these guys have all done this too. There's a few newbies to the SuperTri format, and you can see that. Stars and Stripes, Tim Hellwig was first timer, and hey, he finished fourth overall, and you wonder how he's going to go through the rest of the series if he's doing that well in his first ever on the pacing of the whole thing. So, but what an awesome race, and it was really the same guys the whole way, the same swimmers up front. And then it was Hayden pulling everyone on the bike. It'd take like a few minutes to get caught up, and then he was pulling and pulling and pulling, and every once in a while somebody else would take the lead, including the Stars and Stripes guys. I think the Stars and Stripes guys all had like the top 3 bike splits, but a lot of it was catching up. But Seth Ryder had a crazy first bike, and he led the group coming into transition, so he got the short shoot there for them by having that. So really cool to see that. But the race played out the way we kind of expected it to play out, and swim, bike, run. And then we got to that final bike, and Alex, he was still hanging around with everyone on the bike. So you can't lose him on the bike. You know you're in for a run in a sprint finish. And sure enough, just like Paris, Hayden went out in front on that final leg, and Alex reeled him in with 250, 300 meters to go. And it's on the big screen, and the crowd's going crazy, and they round the corner, and he had him by about 10 feet when they got to the finish chute. And next thing you know, he's crossing his arms, and Hayden's throwing his hands up. And then Hayden's like, why did I have to pull everyone on the bike? And I've got to stop getting these silver medals. I've had too many of them. And it's just it's a great theatrical performance, and the guys that need to show up showed up, and it was just really cool to see. And then all of them taking pictures and selfies with everyone like 5 minutes after they finish a race, and still bringing their heart rates down. And it's a really, really neat experience, like I said before. But what a race for Alex. He just keeps going. And I think on the SuperTri poll, I actually picked him to win Boston and Hayden to win Chicago. So I'm 50% of the way there.
There we go. Yeah, definitely. And it was interesting. So it ended up being Hellwig and Connix that got those short shoots. But I could see why Hayden was frustrated in there. Like, there were a couple places where it could have gone the other way. They almost had you dropped on the bike at one point, but no one was working together, and Hayden was just kind of pulling everyone along. It's like, okay, you don't expect Vincent Louis to do too much because they're on the same team there, but a couple times he was just getting frustrated. No one would pull through, no one would come through. And then, yeah, that last run, he went off the front, but he had that short shoot, so Hayden had to catch up to him again, burn a few more matches, and make it to that finish line. So he's definitely going to be fired up for Chicago. And I think the Olympic distance, okay, we kind of know Alex has it, but SuperTri, that's where it could go back and forth a little bit more. So that makes it a little bit more exciting. And I don't know about you guys, but when I saw Alex doing the crossed arms across the finish line, I was like, what is going on there? But turns out, had to have one of my British friends explain it to me there. It's a football, soccer kind of deal. There's this one player that he's ice cold in there. He crosses his arms, and Petty probably knew this already, but crosses his arms just to say, like, just cool, compose, it's ice cold. And I think that's what Hayden was reacting to. He's like, what is this guy doing? I know a lot of us in social media was exploding with it for a while too. Like, what is happening? What did you guys think when you saw that?
No, I thought it was great. I think those two are going to have a blast in the next couple of years racing together. But no, I loved it. I love finish line celebrations because it used to be, well, lately we were getting used to crossing the finish line and then throwing up, but it was nice to see something different for a change. So yeah, I loved it.
Much better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we talk about, we're so focused on our training and all this in triathlon, and it's always refreshing to see the personalities come out on the race course and to have that be in play. Like, that's what SuperTri is going to be building its brand off of. And there's going to be more of that. And it's like, the NFL brought back celebrations. Well, SuperTri needs to be the celebration of triathlon, and that's what they want to be. So I think you're going to see more and more of that. And they're probably going to come up with their signature moves and all this stuff. It might start a whole kick. That's what I think. But it was interesting. The other one, that Vasco had a tough day, and it come to find out Vasco had been battling E. coli since Paris. So you could definitely see who was out of form or weren't ready for it based on their previous trainings. And I think even Chase McQueen said he'd been battling a stomach bug too. So we'll see who bounces back in Chicago. I think that week in between, it will be a huge factor. I know a lot of them were still here in Boston today and are probably leaving either tonight or tomorrow to go to Chicago. So really looking forward to the entire series and season because it's all going to come down to Nyon, but it's very close at the top already in terms of the team performances. We've got Podium racing at top by 1 point over Crown Racing, and Brownlee 8 points back of Crown, and then the Stars and Stripes, who got a bunch of points from the individual stuff, but not so much the finish individuals. So they are back at 46 points. So a lot of work to do there, but I think they'll have a decent season. But the top three are the three we expected, and we'll see how those orders mix and match throughout the year.
Yeah, and just to close it out here, the top five in the men's race ended up being Alex Yee, Hayden Wild, Dorian Connix in third, Tim Hullig in fourth, which is an impressive first attempt at SuperTri, and Vincent Louis in fifth. Again, another one where we were just so used to seeing him absolutely dominate this distance. So it's great to see that he's back, he's healthy, and here's to see after SuperTri if he starts going long or what he decides to do, because it definitely sounds like he's done with, French Olympic distance racing for the team there. And then on the women's side, the all top five was Jeanne Lehair in first, Georgia Taylor-Brown in second, Kate Waugh in third, Taylor Spivey in fourth, and Leonie Perriot in fifth. So lots of action next weekend. Can't wait to see how it changes up. If I have one thing that I'm hoping it's still good, I miss that they're not switching up the formats. That really just threw a spanner in how the races actually went down, just having different formats, different orders, changing it up. Definitely saw a difference in which athletes came out on top, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out with the same format at every race. I'm just hoping we don't have see a couple people who are good at it just perform because they know the distance well and the format well. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah, absolutely. One last kudos to John Reed, who was the only alternate that was brought in to replace Leo Berger, who's still battling. But John Reed finished 9th place, and he was called that week and said, "You got to show up and race." So kudos to him. Have a good day.
Definitely. Well, let's get into the fun stuff. Josh, we'll go back to you with, you kind of teased it out here. What was your social media post of the week?
Yeah, so again, I like to point out sites that maybe we haven't pointed out, and Jenna often references, Fede often references triathlon.insights on Instagram, and they've got some really cool information. But this one stuck out to me, as it does sometimes with these crazy bike splits or run splits. Christian Hogengaard's bike splits. So 175 kilometers in 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 9 seconds. Insane. Normalized power, 321 watts over 4 hours. He had a 20-minute FTP inside of there of 353 watts over 112 miles. I mean, it's just insane with an average heart rate of only 146 beats per minute.
Jeez. Just a machine.
Just crazy. Oh, and by the way, he crashed and got up and still continued to put up numbers. So yeah, check out triathlon.insights. It's actually Mr. on his social media page too as a collaborator there. But yeah, crazy numbers, and to still stay away from Christian and come in at T1 first. I mean, put himself in the mix to win it.
No, that
It'll
is
be
really good
interesting
to
to
see.
see how heavy he is because I know he's a big guy. I think he's like 6'2", 6'3". So maybe he's like, I don't know, 77, 80 kgs. So that would put him at around 4 watts per kilo for the whole for the whole bike leg, and that's just to
Unreal.
put it into perspective. Really good age groupers on World Championships on 70.3. That's what they push, 4 watts per kilo on the bike. So to push that over the course of an Ironman and then run the way that he did, just goes to show how these guys are on a completely different level.
Yeah, absolutely. Just crazy impressive. Well, let's jump into what the F for the week. It's a sad one this time, but a chance to look back at her career. Daniela Reef has announced that she's going to be retiring a little bit earlier than planned. It sounds like there was an injury that has been sticking around with some pain, and they tried everything they could to try to fix it up so that she could go end her career at the World Championships in Nice. But her body told her that it was time to rest instead. And you know what? She had such an impact on the sport, just raising the level of racing for women within an incredible multiple world champion. She raced at the Olympics, but she really came into form when she did hit that Ironman distance. So I know she's inspired so many in there. And kudos for her for stepping off when her body just wasn't holding up to it. She'll go out not quite with the bang she was hoping, but it's always better to see them go out on their own terms instead of kind of fading away with not great results after a while. So very impressive. She will be missed in there. And I know she, really had such a drastic impact on the sport. What do you guys think about the news?
Oh man, I was a bit sad to read her post because I think arguably Daniela is probably the greatest long course triathlete. Period, male or female. The way that the consistency that she showed throughout the years is amazing. She always treated the sport with respect, and she was a true champion. So I was a bit gutted because I really wanted her to see in Kona one more time to see if she could pull off one more championship. But like you said, Jenna, health comes first, and if she is going out on her own terms and the way of course, it's not the way she wanted it to go, but it's not because an emergency or anything. She is being smart, just the way she has been throughout her whole career. So it's a bit sad because we're starting to see a lot of people leaving the sport because age and stuff like that. But yeah, just grateful that I got to see the goat a long time, and congratulations, I guess, on a great career. And I remember being a big Yankees fan when Derek Jeter retired. They asked him, "What does it feel to retire?" And he said, "Well, it's a bit like going to your own funeral for a long time because everybody's saying sorry and how great you are. So it must feel a bit odd right now for Daniela getting a lot of messages of you're the best." But just kudos to her, and hopefully we can have her on the pod one time to talk about her career.
Is that a challenge for me to go get Daniela on the podcast?
Yes, yes,
Think you have your
yes, it
marching
is.
orders.
It was definitely shocking news. I think we all knew she'd been battling, but like everything else in her career, we thought she'd overcome it and get back out there and challenge for the win at Nice, and it's just not to be. So it is very unfortunate to see it end this way. She had a pretty good day in Miami, and she looked like she was fit and ready to go, but this thing just wouldn't go away, and she went through every possible treatment plan to get back. But I think she made the right decision, and I can't see her leaving the sport completely anyways, and we'll probably have the female version of Jan Frodeno on the broadcasting side or coverage side. I think she'll be a big part of the sport. That's just the way I feel. I don't know what her plans are, but I think it's something that's ingrained in her, and she'll probably take some good holiday and figure out what she wants to do next. But I would imagine we're going to be hearing and seeing from her for a while to go in the world of triathlon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's change direction again. We'll do a quick rundown of the next race coming up in the Ironman Pro Series. You guys have noticed we're covering a few less races in the reviews and the predictions. Just because there's so much racing these days, we're dialing in a little bit more on the Ironman Pro Series, T100, WTCS, and SuperTri. So definitely not lacking either way. But this weekend, we have Ironman 70.3 Tallinn in Estonia. And let's make some predictions here. So I'll read out some of the top names we got on the women's side, and we can go around. We've got Maya Stage-Nielsen, Kat Matthews, Els Visser, Tamara Jewett, Lauren Brandon, Leslie Smith, Kate Cran, Bryce Beck, Caroline Pohl. Those are some of the top ones there. Pamela Oliveira. Who do you think, Fede, who do you think has it this weekend on the women's side? Jump in. Josh, who do you think has it this weekend on the women's side?
I'll go first. Thanks, Fed. I actually might leave his pick on the table anyways. I think the pick across the board is Kat Matthews. That based on the season that Kat has had. But I don't know how Fenella is and if she's actually starting or not. I would love to see her have a great race. My money is going to be on Els Visser yet again. I think she's been training like crazy. She's actually taken a break for the first time this year. And we all know how well she was going before. And let's see what she could do at the 70.3 distance again after a little bit of a break and the Pro Series really being her focus. So my pick is Els because I'm going to leave Kat for one of you guys.
Sounds good. Fede, who do you think's got it?
Yeah, I just wanted Josh to pick first because, you know, I'm a gentleman and I'm letting him pick first. Now, I had a bit of a connection issue, but I think I'm going to go with it's interesting because I know Kat is training for Worlds, but she's always a safe bet. But I'm going to go with Maya Stage-Nielsen, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely good shout there. She's been crashing out there. Man, yeah, it's tough. Kat Matthews, from Ironman to T100 to everything, she just seems to get the job done. Before I thought of her more as an Ironman triathlon athlete, but she's been showing some really good results at T100. Just racing a ton. Like, it is, man, it's seriously impressive. So she's either going to have a great day or an average day, but I'll go with Kat Matthews here because you just can't not pick her. Well, let's go into the men's side.
Roll down for you.
Yeah, right? I'll take it. On the men's side, we've got Peter Heimrich, Robert Kellen, Joe Skipper, Corentin Chauvelin, Mike Phillips, Anthony Costas, Cam Worth, he's on every start list, so who knows? Mark Kubrick. Bart Arnotts, just Eustace Nischlag. Actually, you know what's funny? It almost seems a little more top-heavy in the women's race than the men's race, which we don't often see too much in here, which is great to see. But since we started with you before, Josh, let's go. Who do you think has it on the men's pro side?
And there's another name on that list too. Jelly's doing this race as well.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And I know Dubrick has not been completely healthy. He just started running at the levels he wants to run again recently. So I don't know if he's ready, but we're going to see how he can go on the bike with the new fit and everything. Man, I'm going to go with Jelly Geens. Let's go with the name that's down the list a little bit, but we know when he shows up fit, he's ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Fede? Who do you got here?
Yeah, Josh took my pick. I don't see anybody with the run pedigree that Yeli has. If they come together from the bike to the run, I think Yeli is going to take it. But I'm going to make... Whew, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Mr. Bard Arnolds for the win. Underdog, I think he's gonna get away on the bike, and then he's gonna hold off Yelly.
Yeah, no, I like it. Definitely could see it there. It's funny, we're kind of going away from the top of the list here a little bit more. I'm going to go with Mike Phillips, see what he can do out there, see how things are going with him. And that will start to round out a lot of the points in this Ironman Pro Series. We're really starting to see it come together, but I think there's going to be a ton of movement once we start into the World Championships, just because there are so many more points through Kona and then 70.3 Worlds. We're not going to know who's taking this thing until December, which is crazy since we've already had so much racing already. We're done with the Ironmans outside of the World Championships for points here. So it's down to World Championship results and 70.3s. Right now, at the top of the rankings, we got Matt Hansen at 16,730 points. Jackson Londy on the Canadian side, 12,839. And Patrick Lange moved up to third with his recent result with 12,527. Now, not everyone has 3 Ironmans, and that's definitely what's holding Matt Hansen up at the top of the list, just having already done 3 Ironmans. But I think we are going to see a ton of movement once we get into these World Championship Series type races. On the women's side, we got Jackie Herring topping it with 14,487, Danielle Lewis in second, and Alice Alberts in third. Again, some of the top names in there, we're not seeing the names we expected at the top, like a Fenella Langridge or a Kat Matthews and stuff, but things are going to shake up. What do you think we're going to see once those World Championships start rolling around?
So we could talk math on this and possibilities for another hour if we wanted to, because it's crazy the math that you can do on this. But one of the things, because Matt Hansen already has 3 and he is going to Kona, you really kind of have to pull one of the 3 that he already has away. So now he's back down in that. Now he's back down in that 12,000 range. He gets a little bit more points from Texas. Patrick gets 5,000 from Texas. So they're still around the same. It comes down to, because I think I did the math on this earlier, and I listened to SuperTri News as well. It comes down to Patrick needs to beat Hansen by about 6 minutes in Kona. And that'll probably work out math-wise between the two of them. Now the problem becomes Patrick's not qualified for Topa. So he doesn't have an opportunity to do a 70.3 Worlds, whereas Hansen does. And Hansen's already got two wins, but if he does well in 70.3 Worlds, we all know that can replace one of his 70.3 numbers too. So it is going to come down to Taupo, but it's also going to be a little bit more drawn out, and we'll have a clearer picture after Kona as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Matt Hansen. It's really showing just that consistency at Ironman distance makes a difference. Because he hasn't done anything crazy, right? Like in Ironman, his best result was 6th in Lake Placid. He won 70.3 in Chattanooga, but it's not like he's winning everything, and that's making the difference. It really just shows if he can be consistent across the board. But yeah, I think we're going to start to see a bunch of those blown out of the water once we get those World Championships going on. Talk about Patrick Lange, he'll just have to kind of sit by after Kona and cross his fingers and toes that Matt Hansen doesn't have a blinder of a day and go win the 70.3 World Champs.
I can picture Patrick sitting there with a Matt Hansen voodoo doll or something.
We need like a hot seat camera, like they do at the Tour de France time trials. Have like the hot seat camera for the run. Oh, it'd be fun to watch.
So cool.
Yeah, well, we got lots of racing
on the
ahead here.
On the women's side, it's open, right? I think Nice is going to be a huge play, but a lot of them have only done 2 Ironmans, where Matt's kind of replacing one that he's already done. So I think the women's field's wide open, and Kat's going to be a huge player in that. Alice is going to be a huge player in that. I mean, anyone up top, I think, is going to be in that mix. Some 70.3 Worlds.
Yeah, and there's a much smaller gap kind of among that top 5 as well. So it is all still to play for. Just mind-blowing that we've started this so early. All the Ironmans are done, but it's not till December that things will be decided and done up. That is crazy. Well, we got lots of fun racing ahead to go. And we will be back next week breaking down SuperTri. I should be on site and try to get some good insights. Go follow us on another triathlon podcast on Instagram. I'll try to get some behind the scenes pictures and videos and all of that fun stuff too. So you can feel like you're a part of the action. Maybe you'll get the same FOMO I did watching Josh's feed and have to come out to the next SuperTri event in there. We'll be back. Thank you guys for joining me as always. We'll see you next week.
Have a safe trip home and enjoy Chicago.
Yeah, enjoy it. See you guys.